Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Matthew Robinson, and as you can see, this lighting is not great, but I don't really care about looking good right now. I just want to talk about stuff. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Project Talks. It has been almost a year since I last did one of these, and in last year's Project Talks, real quick, I mentioned a couple of horror films I scrapped. And so before we get to the main stuff, I just want to give a quick update on that. So, Laughing Terror, the slasher film, it is happening, albeit with some revisions. And with a different title. It's called Pound Max now. That's the new title. Yeah, I'm not adding captions in post. I don't really want to do any hard editing. I don't want to be fancy or anything. But anyway, yeah, that's happening. Also, another one called Viral, which I unscrapped. So yeah, I had to do that one. I have to do that one. And recently, like in the past couple weeks, I have scrapped yet even more films. And so I'm gonna talk about that. In fact, I've scrapped so many that the amount of projects that I have planned to do has gone down from somewhere between 12 and 16 to just 6, with 4 of those, or rather 2 of those, on the long-term back burner. And the other 2, hopefully I'll be able to get to them in the next couple of years. But anyway, I'm just going to talk about the ones I've scrapped recently. So, the first one was called Giving Up the Ghost. And it was going to be a movie about bitter dicks. Or rather, it would have been, the kind of people who, they're bitter, they put others down, they decided that it was better, or rather easier, to just look or feel like a someone than to actually be a someone. And it was meant to be a Dogma 95 film. If you don't know what Dogma is, it was a movement started by Lars von Trier and Thomas Vinterberg. I'm going to try to get, okay, like it says right here. Basically, you can't do period films. Where and when you shoot is where and when the movie takes place. The film has to be in color. No superficial action, so no action scenes, no staged murders. And, no fantasy films, horror films, sci-fi, whatever films. And you can't use any outside audio, so no fixing that in post. Dogma 95 was originally meant to be like a way to escape the restrictions of mainstream Hollywood standards, but it just ended up being just as restrictive itself. And Giving Up the Ghost, the only reason that movie existed was to, the plan was I was going to somehow contact Lars von Trier, see if he would see the movie, and then he'd potentially ordain my movie as Dogma or not. It would have been good publicity, but that's the only reason this movie existed. And I'm ashamed that I planned a movie for just that purpose. Maybe I'll do a Dogma 95 film someday, but I don't have any immediate plans. Another movie I scrapped was a little number called After the End. This is actually an idea I've been kind of toying around with for a while. It was just about a cyborg hobo wandering around a post-apocalyptic wasteland. It would probably be better as a short than as a feature-length film, so yeah, it was just a whole bunch of nothing. Another one, I was planning on doing all these movies this year, but no, anyway, the next one I scrapped was Never Ever Land. The title comes from a song by an artist named Nano. And I actually had it attached to a previous project, but And then I scrapped that as well long ago, and maybe I'll talk about that in a separate video. Anyway, Never Ever Land was going to be about vampires. A boy and a girl, they're lost boys, or rather lost kids. They're vampires. The lost boys were vampires, and Peter Pan was also a vampire. And it would have just been these characters like farting around for like an hour and a half. There's nothing. The only reason I planned this movie was to use the title. And I still want to use the title in something, but I have nothing. So yeah, there's that. Let's see, what was the next one called? Okay, so I have to remember these because some of these are so unremarkable that even I've forgotten about them. Anyway, another one that I was going to shoot next year, but I'm not going to shoot it anymore, was going to be called Raining Terror on the Machine. And it's literally, hold on. Okay. It was inspired by this anime right here called Terror in Resonance. It would have just been the same thing. It's about these two boys who are terrorists. They blow up buildings, but no one dies in these buildings. And also there's a cute girl. And that's also why I didn't finish this. I didn't want my thing to be too derivative, but now that I'm not making Raining Terror anymore, now I can finish this without worry. Sorry. Acid reflux. Let's see, what's another one I did? I have to, like I said, mostly just so unremarkable, I gotta remember what I was gonna do. I don't know. I guess I could just like speed run several of them. There were going to be other movies, and they would have had titles like The House of the Rising Sun and The Land Where the Sun Now Sets. That would have been the whole title. English If It Kills You. Fresh Canned Meat. Oh, I just remembered one. So, okay, this one. Sinbad and the Golden Satellite. I initially planned that one because I really like Sinbad the Sailor movies. I like all the Ray Harryhausen films and the Lou Ferrigno movie. There are still some Sinbad movies I still have to see, though. Like, I haven't seen the Douglas Fairbanks Jr. one, or the Brendan Fraser one, or the Brad Pitt one, or any of the low-budget ones. But yeah, I really want to make a Sinbad the Sailor film, and this was basically an excuse to do that. The problem is, I don't really have a plane to shoot on. You know, like, the characters are going to be on a boat for most of the movie, but I don't have access to a full boat or a facility or space to shoot it in. Ultimately, I just kind of realized this is incredibly half-assed, and I don't want this to be my Sinbad movie. My Sinbad movie's got to be actually good. And so, yeah, I actually almost bought a ship's wheel for that, but I'm glad I scrapped this. I didn't blow $30 on a useless prop. But I will do a Sinbad the Sailor film someday. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of them I also scrapped. Some of them didn't even have names. For example, a silent film, which I still want to do a silent film someday, but this just had no plot. It was just characters farting around again. Then there would have been like a musical, and I scrapped that because songwriting is not my forte. It's not one of my strengths. I still want to do a musical someday, though, as well. And there's a whole... Look, like I said, there's a whole bunch of them. And it made me realize something as I was scrapping all these. As I've been writing all these, I've been neglecting other aspects of myself. You know, like, look at all these DVDs right here, all these DVDs piled up. I've been neglecting these because I've been writing worthless scripts for movies that don't deserve to be movies. I have, all these books right here that I've also been neglecting. I've been neglecting my social life. I've been neglecting, tidying up everything, rearranging everything. I've been neglecting other more important aspects of my life. And, you're probably asking as you're watching this, why did I do this? Why have I been tormenting myself for 2 years trying to write scripts to make 6 or 5 movies a year? Why have I been doing this to myself? Why am I rushing, essentially? Why was I rushing? And, basically, and this is kind of embarrassing to say, but I was scared. Specifically scared of changing too quickly to make all the movies I want to make. But, okay, basically, the Coen brothers, right? Their first few movies, from Blood Simple to The Big Lebowski, those were all relatively light-hearted films, right? And then, starting with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, they suddenly became much more dour, much more gritty, and, their sensibilities changed. They as people changed, and their works changed with them. And I didn't want to plan, a whole bunch of movies. Then it got to a point where it's like, I don't feel these anymore. I don't want any of that to go to waste, Like, I've scrapped way too many movies, more than what I've mentioned in this video over the years. But there's another complex that this leads to, including every piece of the buffalo. That's it. Like, there's an old saying from the indigenous people of the American plains, use every part of the buffalo. What that meant was they didn't just eat the meat, they also would use the bones or the teeth or the fur or the horns for other stuff. And so I have this complex of trying to include everything I have. So now I have, basically because I've scrapped all this, I have all these unused buffalo pieces. Characters, bits of dialogue, set pieces, scenes. Like, no. I'm afraid I'm going to watch back and then find out I said something wrong, but whatever. Anyway, I have all these pieces, and it bugs me to death. It bothers me to no end that they're not connected to anything. Of course, recently I've been exploring new ways to try to include all my characters and tell these stories. I've actually started writing a couple books, and I'm planning on eventually, once they're finished, self-publishing them through Kindle Direct. That will have less of a window of production and less headaches involved, for me at least. Anyway, yeah, there's also another layer to why I was doing all this, but that's also a video for another day. But anyway, yeah, for now, I'm just going to kind of take it easy. I'm going to work on Viral this year. Hopefully it'll be completed by the end of July. Plus another movie, I can't tell you the name of, but it's a comedy. Both of these movies will be done by the end of the year, but I'm just going to take it easy for now, and not stress out over them. And, yeah, I know this is, really rambly, but I don't like doing well-rehearsed stuff, I want to be natural. But anyway, what else is there to talk about? I don't think there's anything else to talk about. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Sorry if you weren't able to follow. But, yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Look forward to more videos in the future. Hopefully next week or maybe the week after, I'm not sure. Depends on how my schedule is. And in the meantime, you all just stay cool. Later.